Yo, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy comes you out with a brand new video. Before we get into the video, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this video. But before we get into it, do you guys think this would be a good trade if it went down? Do you think Lauri Markkanen to the Spurs would be a good idea? Do you think Greg Popovich would like coaching Lauri Markkanen? Do you think Lauri Markkanen would play well with Victor Wembanyama? So without further ado, let's get into the video. So recently a report has came out where the Spurs have expressed willingness to trade multiple first-round picks, and Keldon Johnson for Lauri Markkanen, straight up. Now, let's talk about this trade and why both teams might do it and why both teams might not do it. So let's talk about it from the Utah Jazz perspective. Lauri Markkanen just came off a year where, he had a pretty good year. He wasn't an all-star this year. Last year was an all-star this year, but he put up similar numbers, 23 points, about 8 rebounds, 2 assists on pretty good efficiency. And, the Utah Jazz didn't have a great year this year. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it just didn't go the way that they wanted it to go. So, they're thinking that Lauri Markkanen is not a first option. It's not a guy that can lead you to the playoffs by himself. He might be a second, a third option, maybe a fourth. So, and what we have heard about the next year's 2025 NBA draft is supposed to be one of the generational drafts, or one of the better drafts in the last couple of years, where you got guys like Cooper Flag, the Boozer twins, Troop. I hope I'm saying it right, but there's a lot of guys in next year's draft that are worth tanking for. And I think this is the reason why the Utah Jazz might be willing to get off Lauri Markkanen, is to get multiple first-round picks just so they have a chance to get one of those generational or one of those great players in the top 5. And it kind of makes sense. The Utah Jazz are going into they have been rebuilding, but into a retool of the rebuild. They were rebuilding with Lauri Markkanen when he got traded there, and slowly, they're starting to retool and starting to get younger. They're moving off guys. Jordan Clarkson has been available for the last couple of years. So there is a lot of things going on with the Utah Jazz. But the thing that makes this trade kind of hard, in my opinion, is the general manager of the Utah Jazz being Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has been known to be a guy that isn't the best guy to deal with when it comes to trades. He's always trying to get the most, which it makes sense. But, Danny Ainge has been one of those guys where, he's always going to try getting more value out of his players than anybody else. He's going to, like the Donovan Mitchell situation with the Knicks, although, he didn't like what happened with the situation, but he wanted so many picks from the Donovan Mitchell situation. And, he ended up deciding to go a little bit less with the Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton that happened. They could have gotten RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and like 4 or 5 picks. But, he wanted to be petty and stuff and ask for more picks. So, Danny Ainge has been one of those guys that hasn't been the easiest to deal with. And, this might be a reason why this trade doesn't happen. So, you always got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, let's talk about it from the San Antonio Spurs perspective and why they should do this. Now, getting Lauri Markkanen would obviously tremendously boost the Spurs win total by a couple of games at the minimum. And the Wemby jump we all expect is going to be one of the most insane jumps. He's a generational prospect. There's no denying it that he might be, if he wasn't already a top 15, 20 player in the NBA, next season, there might be a real conversation for him to be a top 15 to top 10 player in the NBA. Just what we've seen from him do last year, it was just incredible. He put up a 40-point game, triple doubles, getting 5x5s. He's just one of those guys that the jump is going to be generational and is going to make the Spurs act quicker. So now getting a Lauri Markkanen to be his co-star or be like his second option, where, we saw Wemby, he played the 4 and then he played the 5. He didn't play that well when he was the 4. And now putting Wemby at the 5 in the later half of the season, you saw how Wemby took off, and we saw the performances that Wemby had. Now getting Lauri Markkanen, who is a true 4, alongside Wemby, puts Wemby at the 5 and allows him to do what he has to do. And getting Lauri to play the 4 just allows Lauri to be the best version of himself. And they also got a sneaky pickup in Chris Paul, who can come in, facilitate, get somebody buckets here, get somebody buckets there, make the right plays. And it's going to be a very good, experience for Wemby, and it's going to help expedite his development and his growth. And I see a world where the San Antonio Spurs can be in the playoffs next year. And it would not be shocking if, they do end up getting a first-round series win just because how generational of a talent Victor Wembanyama is. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry if you heard that. I am currently outside, so excuse me for that. But yeah, guys, do you think this would be a trade that the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz should partake in? Now, let me reiterate the trade. So, the Spurs haven't really offered anything, but they have expressed willingness to offer multiple. Now, it depends on how many picks that the San Antonio Spurs are willing to offer and, what the deal gets done at. But if it's around 2 to 3 picks plus Keldon Johnson, maybe a couple pick swaps, I would consider doing that for the San Antonio Spurs. Now, if it's any more than 3 picks, if they want 4 or 5 plus Keldon Johnson, plus maybe a pick swap or 2, I would not do. I would hang up the phone. I would go look somewhere else. Because Keldon Johnson, he had a solid year. He is going to be a guy. He's more of a bench role player than more of a starter, in my opinion. But he's a guy that can come in and give you 15 points, like 5 rebounds, and like an assist or 2 off the bench. He shoots the ball pretty decently well. It's not the greatest, but he has developed over the last couple of years. And for the Utah Jazz, getting Keldon Johnson, they can always, trade him down the line. And he's not going to be a guy that's going to add multiple wins to your win total. So you can always, just keep him on the roster, and it would be beneficial. If not, you can always trade him and get maybe a pick or 2 out of it. Maybe a couple second rounders. Utah Jazz would take anything at this point, any picks that they can get, just so they can bolster their draft capital for the next couple years for the rebuild. I think they would do it. So yeah, guys, let me know how you guys feel about this trade rumor. And do you guys think that the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz should partake in this? Do you guys think the San Antonio Spurs should look elsewhere? The Utah Jazz should look elsewhere to get off Lauri Markkanen and get more assets? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, YouTube.